be injected with all these chemicals to keep them alive until they take them into the slaughterhouses. They hate the process, and they love their buffalo. And they say, what are we going to do? So I do believe there's a grassroots movement of consciousness to want a change. I don't know that all of our laws and USDA have afforded to make that all that easy, but many of them have taken the industry by the horns, let's say, and they have started their own movement around grass-fed. Now, this isn't monitored, so unfortunately, a lot of things can be put on a label that don't imply the truth of what's really going on. But there is, among the buffalo growers themselves, this desire to change that it be grass-fed, that they go directly, sometimes from the pasture directly to the slaughter point, so that the animals are immediately harvested, so that they're not in a holding pattern, which is very, very dangerous for the quality of the meat of the animals, because they don't have an immune system to be put into feedlots, and they do get sick, and they do have to be treated to not get sick, and of course that's just more going into the meat. So there is a movement, there is a heartfelt desire to change the industry, and I don't know of anyone who really is taking the liberty as I am of doing the field harvest and doing it the way that I am. There are those ranchers out there that have many more animals and can't do exactly what I'm doing, or haven't set up to do so. And what they were doing is they were just doing regular hunting, just going out and just shoot them. And the way that we do it is so much more appealing, and I don't know that they feel that they really have the right to do that. Because I'm Native, I have the right to do that. I would encourage anyone. You don't have to use tobacco. You don't have to do it any particular way. You can say a Christian prayer. You can say whatever kinds of gratitude prayers. It is just simply the conversation with the buffalo and the honoring, and at the point of the harvest, say your gratitude prayers and thank the buffalo and look at the herd and look at them in the eye and say thank you. And I could go on here, but I better take a break and let you ask me another question.
We're at 31 minutes.
Okay.
Tana, maybe, so the buffalo industry has expanded a lot in the past 10 years, and from before we could never buy buffalo in the supermarket, and now we can buy it in pretty much any market we go into. And it definitely has the marketing that it is more healthy, but I understand that a lot of these buffalo are raised and processed in the same way that cattle are. Can you talk about how the difference between a natural gift from the buffalo, such as that comes from your herd, and that which people can find in the stores?
Well, I'm going to address this kind of gingerly, in that I want to make certain that all of my facts are correct, but I will tell you what I do know for certain, and that is that much of the labeling that goes on buffalo today says all natural. And I can tell you that the all natural label by USDA standards means nothing more than the fact that you are eating buffalo and not beef or pork or something else. All natural means nothing more than you are eating buffalo. Now, beyond that, it may say no antibiotics, it may say no steroids. Steroids are not usual in the buffalo industry anyway. Antibiotics, I question, because in the large herds, quite often they have to take their animals into a feedlot situation just like cattle. And unfortunately for a buffalo, they do not have an immune system for being held in close quarters and to stay in their own mess. They're very, very prone to disease. They're very, very prone to parasites, which is the number one killer of a buffalo. And in order to sustain buffalo in feedlots for any period of time, they have to give them something. And exactly what is in there, whether it has been said that, well, it dissipates out of the meat, or it's not really considered a chemical or harmful, again, I can't address those substances other than they have to use them in order to sustain them there. And I do know that whatever by industry standard is given as an okay may not be on the label. So you may not really be hearing what the animal is ingesting or what the animal is going through prior to. Now, if it does say grass-fed, you are more likely to be getting an animal that is going directly from grass, perhaps even being harvested in the field, but more importantly, going directly from grass to the slaughter plant. That would be the most effective and, again, one of the purest ways. Those animals probably have been injected as young calves. They have had their full round of what they call 3-way, 5-way, 7-way, 9-way, whatever it may be, all their antibiotics and all of their brucellosis shots and so forth. And perhaps, and I don't know this, and I will say this, perhaps they don't mention that because they feel that then dissipates out of the body long before the animal is harvested. But for animals that are free range, that have never ever had shots, one has to do some hunting around. And quite often what people do is they will find ranchers and they'll approach them, and several people will go together and they will say, we would like the buffalo meat, and we'd like to go ahead and purchase an animal. Now for myself, because I don't go through a USDA-approved system, that's fine because the buffalo are considered a wild animal. So people often come and they will purchase an animal, and then we harvest it for them and we will process it for them, and so then they have the meat. And so people can do that. But I would say look for grass-fed. All natural doesn't mean a thing.
What is the health benefit of a grass-fed animal versus, say, a corn-fed animal, Tana?
Well, what is really a buzz in the buffalo industry itself right now is the talk about grass-fed means that you can't feed them anything other than what a buffalo would naturally eat. A buffalo would not naturally eat corn. It would not eat scraps. It would not eat waste. It would not eat the things that are often fed, throughout the industry to feed, what is being fed to beef, let's say. You have to keep them on natural grasses. If you're feeding them grain, buffalo wouldn't ordinarily be eating grain. You can't even feed them grain. So grass-fed, if you're truly eating grass-fed buffalo, they have been on nothing but grass. The other nice thing about that is by that, the meat, and what we find is our buffalo each year, each generation is getting larger and fatter because our native grasses are coming back. When you feed a buffalo what is natural to a buffalo, then their meat, their whole composition is a much healthier, stronger, more tender, more natural, more wonderful, and it doesn't have gamey flavor, and it doesn't taste like corn, and it doesn't have a lot of the other flavors. It's much more flavorful, and also the animal is raised in a much more peaceful environment. We're firm believers that if an animal goes through fear and chaos and crisis prior to its being harvested, then all of that goes through the meat. The body naturally releases endorphins through the body that definitely changes the flavor and the quality of the meat. So the more peaceful the animal is, the more of the animal's life where it's been happy and eating natural foods. So grass-fed within the industry, that is the goal.
Are very many of the buffalo ranchers that you know, do very many do the grain-fed or the corn-fed? I mean, how widespread is that?
That's predominant.